Templar. Or Templar. Last time it was 400, so this is just 490. Okay, I think that's it. And then here, this is 4. This needs to be changed to I Templar, and I believe they actually don't use white spacing here, so it's going to be one word. Templar portrait. There we go. Ah, it's facing the other way. Interesting. And last time it was 370, so it's going to be 460 this time. Okay, and we got one more to do, which is the ghost. Obviously, you would want to have more original names than the actual name, but for now, this is going to work. Duke. Everything else. Oh yeah. Duh. 580. 450. Feels like something is. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I see what I got it. It's not 450, it's 550. Wow. That is, it says portrait, but I don't think that's. Ooh. What happened to this guy? I forgot how ugly they look. Yeah, this is 550. Alright, so now we should have images and text for H1. Let's just quickly check this. Make sure we did it right. Cool. I see I forgot to change the variable. That's what happens when you have the same image ID. It gets replaced. So this is fine. So that should fix that. We have all this, which is good, and now we can head to our triggers when a select button is hit. So we do that by creating a new trigger. Control W again, dialog, and we're going to call this show hero info. So when the select is hit, we show the info of that particular hero. So when does this event occur? When a dialog is used. Now we want to put a condition here, so it's if you remember, there's more than one dialog button, right? There's the select plus also confirm, and we want to treat those two separately. So what we here in the condition, we want to do, make sure it's not the confirm button. We can do this by having our variable and saying it's not equal to the one we're using right now, the one that caused the triggering. Okay, so this will only do it if a select button is hit. We forgot to figure out which button was selected, and we're going to do that by creating a function. So let's go into our function folder, do new function. It's a function because we're returning something. I'm going to call it dialog. Find hero selected. Sounds good to me. What we're going to pass, we're going to pass the button that was used. So that's going to be the parameter. Select button, I guess. Good name is in the other. It's going to be dialog item. And what are we returning? Well, we're going to return the position of that button. So it's going to be an integer. Okay. I always do this first. It makes it much easier. And here in the hint text, I always say what is the parameters. You'll see why later. This won't really matter since we only have one variable, but when there's multiple, it will be really useful. And we will have a multiple variable. I also want to point out, it'd be a good idea to write down what this function does in this. But for now, this is more than adequate since it's kind of obvious. It just finds the hero selected with a name. And so what we're going to do is we're going to loop. Anytime we loop, we need to create a variable. So I'm going to do my famous temp int. Oh my god. There we go. So for each, for our variable, and 2 again. This is going to be our what we set to max. So that's why I went. Like I said, when we change that, all of these will be updated as well. And here, what we want to do is an if statement, if then, and we're going to say if okay, so if the position God, I can't speak right now. So if the button that's being passed to this is in this position, I want you to return that value. So here we're going to return the temp int. So this is pretty much saying, is this the select button that we found? No. Okay, so this one is this one. All right, it's this one. Okay, then that's what I'll return. Now these functions, when you have a return type, it must always execute. And in this case, this if statement, this is not always true. I mean, in our case it is, but to the system it's not, because there's no way you can hit anything other than select. So we need to do a return outside of this. So we just do a Control W return. And I always like to return 1, so that way, if there's something ever goes wrong, you know a -1 is a bad sign when you print it out. So that's that. Let's go back to our show hero, and here we're going to do a set variable to our local variable, which will be hero selected. Hero selected, and then this value will actually be the function. General is the functions you defined. And then here we're going to pass in the one that was used. Okay, so we can check this. This is pretty much a printf for all those CS people. Or in other words, we're just going to see what the value is stored in here. So we do a text message, and the message is going to be a convert from an int, right? We're working with an int, so convert integer. And here we're going to do hero select. Nah, all players, it's fine. This is not going to be in the end product, so it's okay. And we'll see that when we do the actual testing. For right now, we'll just leave it alone. Anytime you have multiple possibilities, you want to use a switch statement. Those are the best. And you'll see why in a second. So here we're going to set this to be our hero selected, and now we have cases. So, you know, if hero 1 was selected, do this. If hero 2 was selected, do this. So, start with the first case. So what do we want to do when you select? Well, we want some text to pop up that talks about what the hero abilities are, and we also want to kind of zoom and pan to there. And so what we want to do is create a function that does the zooming for us. So let's go back to our function, and this one is going to be an action since we're not returning anything. So new action. I'm going to call this dialog zoom to hero, and we're going to actually use this for something else as well. So, I'll describe what that is later. So it's just the parameters. Well, this really depends on what you want to do with this. Let me look at my notes, some of the things we can do. Okay. Well, we need to know who we're moving the camera for, so we at least need to know how a player. The unit we're looking at. So distance, we want to zoom in close to the hero so we can see how he looks up. Also, we want to change the angle, so you know you're not looking from the straight up, you're looking from the side, so you're gonna have an angle. And rotation, this is so that we can see him from a different angle. So that's rotation is left and right, where angle is up and down. And the last one is time. How long would this camera operation take? Now, I like to do in the hint text right here, name all with the variables. I mentioned this before, and you'll see how useful this is once we use the function angle, rotation, time. Okay. Well, they don't have that feature. Okay. So we have this, and now we're going to do some operations. And these are all going to be camera operations, so we know we're going to look in that section. And we're going to do a pan to that area. That sounds good. And for the player, here we just replace for our parameters player. And instead of a region here, we wanted to point to a position of a unit. So point. So point to offset is nice if you don't want it to be right at the center. So for instance, you have text that's right in the middle, and so you would want it to the right. Then you do a point with an offset. I think we're just gonna do. I don't see we need. Should be a point position of a unit. Yeah. Position of a unit sounds good. Sorry, I was blanking out for a second. And here it's going to be actually a parameter. How do I keep? Interesting. I can't change that. Surprisingly, there should be a variable here. Oh, ha! I realized what I did here. Apologize. So this, I didn't change the types. So this needs to be unit type, and these are all going to be real. So I'll just quickly change them all. Oops, I just. So there we go. That should work. That was dumb of me. Okay, there we go. So it's going to pan the camera for that player as position of the unit. And here we're going to use our time variable. Okay, so that's set. Now we're going to apply some objects to this camera as it's moving to that location. So we're going to do camera, apply camera properties, I believe actually. Okay, that's right. So this one, first property is already select distance, and in here we're just going to pass a parameter distance. Again, player would be player, and then over our time. As you can see here, we have a lot of operations that we can do. Angle of attack is, up and down. Depth of field is how far zoom we are. Same as, it's not the same as distance. I don't know what these do. Roll would be like rotation this way and this way, while rotation itself is left and right. Yeah. Near clip is, and far clip is where you want to cut off the distance, how far you can view. So far clip is the farther one, and the near is near. So you really don't have to worry about that unless you really want to fix a certain amount of view the user can see. Okay, so some of the other functions are here, so we're going to use that by copying it, pasting it. Instead of distance here, we can just do angle of attack. So here would be angle. So distance, angle, and our last one would be rotation. So rotation. And so everything else is set. So now we have our zoom to hero. So we go back to here, and this is the first thing we're going to implement is that. Oops. Oh yeah, case study, yeah. And so we're going to set this to 1. So if it's the first hero selected, we're going to zoom to him. And remember when I put the hint text, you see it appears right here. So it's pretty easy to follow. So the first thing should be player, which is triggering player. And I found out that this is actually an int, which just gives you the number, the player that caused it. And no unit here, we want to do our units. So it would be the zealot is the first one. And then for this, I don't know what would be good values. Give me a second to think about this. Alright. So this